Welcome to the 2021 Hiawatha State of the City. Thank you all. My name is Mark Parmenter. I'm an attorney with Lederer, West & Craig here in Cedar Rapids. I also have the privilege of serving as the city attorney. I'm also the chair of the Hiawatha Economic Development Corporation that we affectionately call HEDCO. It's great to be back in person. Last year we had a virtual State of the City, which went over really well, but it's so much more fun to be able to socialize and see everybody. We have a wonderful program this afternoon. Mayor Bill Bennett and I are going to have a discussion about what is happening in Hiawatha today. We'll also hear from State Senator Liz Mathis about the state's economy, and our keynote speaker, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, will also be here to discuss what's happening at the federal level. Before we start, though, I want to say some thank yous. Wow, what a venue. Crystal Group, thank you so much for allowing HEDCO and the state to have this State of the City in this venue. This is terrific. Truly a beautiful venue. I want to recognize our title sponsors, Alliant Energy and ITC. Thank you all. Our additional sponsors are Hawkeye Electric, Hawkeye Communication, Lederer West & Craig PLC, thanks guys, Balance Fitness and Health, Farmer State Bank, Metro Studios, Honkamp Kruger, Almond Companies, CCB Packaging, Back in Line Family Chiropractic, Cedar Graphics, and A1 Storage. Thank you all for your generous support and partnering with HEDCO and its mission. Without your support, HEDCO cannot do what we do. I also want to recognize our board members. These are the folks that volunteer their time to HEDCO and the business community in Hiawatha. As I state your name, if you could just stand up just for a minute, let everybody recognize you. The first person I want to introduce is the incoming chair, Melissa White with Balanced Fitness and Health. Our treasurer, Rusty Smith, Farmer State Bank. Marketing coordinator and probably the guy that has the heaviest oar of the group, Kirk Hayden with Metro Studios. Chad Pelley, developer. I know he's here, I just saw him. There he is. CJ Clean back in line, I don't think she's here. Pat Callanan, Hawkeye Communications, I know Pat's here. Jeremy Reese with Hawkeye Electric. There he is, thanks Jeremy. Nick Canfield, CCB Packaging. Nick, thank you. Kyle Coons, Honkamp Kruger PLC. There he is in the back. Emily Upaw, Alliant Energy. There she is. Thanks, Emily. Hassan Ingram, Cedar Graphics. Did not see him, but a proud board member. Tyler McCarville, Kirkwood Lynn County Regional Center. And then finally, Joe Rochlow with Heritage Bank. Thank you all, board members, for all of your tireless work and efforts and contributions to HEDCO. You know, HEDCO's mission is really simple. It's to develop and support a vibrant economic community in Hiawatha utilizing both public and private partnerships. Our vision is to make Hiawatha the first choice for business, developers, and realtors, to work to create enhanced policies and regulations impacting Hiawatha businesses, to advocate key community infrastructure, to be a resource for available financing and funding, to partner with area development organizations like MEDCO and all of the other sister groups in the community, and to maintain current business and, of course, promote new business in Hiawatha. We had a busy year. You know, we had this little thing called COVID and, of course, a derecho. But, you know, HEDCO was still busy. We had some great moments. We had a few ribbon cuttings. Those included State Farm Insurance. We now have a hospital in Hiawatha, Mercy ER. We opened the Dave Wright Family Dog Park. Dave, thank you. Turtle Creek Park, Angie Chaplin Mindful Leadership, and Upper Iowa University. A couple things that happened this year that I was very proud of, and if you think about it, it's pretty incredible. we celebrated CEC's 75th anniversary in business. That's slightly older than me, but that's terrific. And then Company's 30th anniversary in business. I can't believe they've been around that long already. It's terrific. We also had Hiawatha Summits. We had 4 of those this year, business summits. 3 of them were virtual. 1 of them was in person, our last one. And for those of you that have not had an opportunity to attend any of those business summits, I think you're missing out. We always have outstanding speakers, and you'll always walk away with at least one nugget of information you can take back that will improve your ability to do what you do, but also help your business. So if you have the opportunity, please participate in those. You know, last fall, the board members, we put together a phone tree. We were kind of worried about some of the businesses in Hiawatha with people being closed down, the impact of duratio and COVID. But we had board members call more than 70 Hiawatha businesses to say, hey, things okay? Anything we can do to help? And I think it went over well. That's what's fun about being a small organization. You know, HEDCO offers many more resources to our business community than what we can talk about today. And if you've not already done so, please visit our website, www.hedco.com. Now, I know you didn't come here to listen to me, so let's hear from our speakers. Please welcome the mayor of Hiawatha, Bill Bennett.
Thank you, Mark.
Mr. Mayor, thanks for being here today. We've got a nice group. You know, we want to talk about some of the things that went on in Hiawatha, you know, the last year. It was quite again, we talked about COVID, duratio. It's been kind of an interesting year. Tell us a little bit about, if you can, what the city did to sort of react to COVID-19.
COVID's been a moving target, you know, and we initially jumped right in and started with a program that Mask Up, and we promote the idea of people when they can, and it is possible for them to have masks on, that they do so. We implemented a program in all the city buildings and the city hall that had all the employees, you know, wearing masks when they could. We took conference rooms and made them offices and did anything we could to spread people out, so when they're by themselves and they're comfortable, they can have a mask off.
And it looks like Hiawatha benefited from the American Rescue Plan. $1.1 million came to the city. Can you talk a little bit about what the city will be utilizing that money for? The 1.1 million is part of the helping us support what we're doing with COVID, and there's going to be other things that come along, and we don't have an exact, you know, plan for the 1.1 million, but it's gonna relate to COVID and how we structure what we do next as COVID continues to change. Fair to say that it looks like we'll be able to portion that money through infrastructure, fiber, water, sewer, stormwater, and even mental health.
Absolutely. The mental health one jumps out at me first, because we've been working on a program that will have a professional ride with the officers and the first responders. So the mental health part of it, we can kind of guide and get these people that are having stress issues or whatever to the ability to get help. And it's going to be a program that's I think it's going to help a lot of people that are stressing.
One of the things I'm impressed with Hiawatha is how well we run our city and watch our money. And I know the city will take this 1.1 and use it wisely for the community.
Absolutely. We've done a really good job with the budget that we've got, and we continue to do the most that we can, and very cognizant of what we do next to make a better community, a safer community, and one to work, live, and play.
You know, before August 10th of 2020 last year, I'd never heard the word derecho. We had this horrible storm impact, you know, not just Hiawatha, but the metro area, really all of Lynn County and multiple counties in eastern Iowa. Can you tell us a little bit about what the city did in reaction to that storm?
Well, it was amazing because communication was knocked out. You know, we didn't have power, and all the resources that we had in the city went to work. You know, from the city manager to, you know, I was out on the streets. Our city council was out knocking on doors. You know, we were first things was trying to make sure that people were safe, and then we started the process of cleaning up our streets so people could go get resources to be safe. And it was amazing how quick the response and just natural it came, because we know that there's no program for derecho manual. And I was very impressed with the way Hiawatha responded.
What I was proud of, at least in our neighborhood, was neighbors helping neighbors to haul that debris to the curbside for the trucks to come by and pick it up. Our neighbor across the street ran an extension cord across the street so we keep our sump pump going and not flood our basement. In fact, I think we moved all of our perishables to their fridge, and we had breakfast and dinner with them for a week because we didn't have power. That's the thing I'm most proud of this community, is how we all got together and helped one another. Let's talk a little bit about, we had help from outside the city too, didn't we?
Absolutely, which everybody knew. It was amazing that the derecho to our north was only, you know, 8-9 miles. Center Point had hardly anything, so we had people from Center Point, and we had some people from Delaware County, and you know, it was just amazing because they brought their resources and helped us clean up our city and reached out to us instead of, you know, it was so hard for us to reach out to them with the lack of communication.
What on the slide that is amazing to me is the 10,000 dump truck loads of debris. I can't imagine 10,000 dump truck loads, but it's equivalent to filling the city hall's parking lot 50 feet high. That's almost like a 5-story building.
Yeah, we were lucky that we had some city-owned property and some donated property to store the material until it got to a point where we could resource out the idea of grinding it and then hauling it away. And yeah, I didn't know that there was that many trees in Hiawatha.
I didn't either, and it looks like we lost 500 right-of-way trees, 200 park trees, and then 2,300 waterway trees. So we've lost a large portion of our canopy in Hiawatha due to this storm.
Well, I know that when I go to the park now that I bring a little sunblock, because there ain't much for a canopy up there.
Obviously, people had a lot of damage. It wasn't just trees. And so they had to come to the city to get building permits. Can you talk a little bit about what the city did as far as building permits?
Well, we came up with the idea that anything that was derecho damage, we would excuse the fee for the building permits. And obviously with the citizens, that went over real well. Now, maybe there's some stuff done that maybe wasn't derecho related, but no, I think for the most part, that was a resource that those people could get those permits, get their work done, and move on. So.
And almost 3,000 hours by city staff to address the derecho stuff. That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
One of the things I'm impressed with City Hall is the longevity of the folks that have worked there. I mean, you go in there, you see the same faces, and it appears everyone was ready, willing, and able to come and help.
We're lucky that our staff is willing to put different hats on. You know, just because they work in an office don't mean that they ain't out there dragging limbs and stuff during a crazy time like we had. And you know, it just is amazing and makes my job obviously more popular with the way that the staff responds and continues to respond to any disaster or it's the daily work they do.
So, of course, when you clean up a giant mess like this, it costs a lot of money. Looks like we spent about $2 million for the overall cost for cleanup. Can you talk a little bit about where that money came from?
Well, the initial was out of our city budget, but obviously we're applying to be reimbursed by FEMA, and $2 million is something that we didn't have, to spare. And
You're
I'm
not going to
sure
raise our taxes, are you?
no.
Okay.
No. We're going to continue to work on holding, if not look at another lowering.
So our tree canopy's been impacted greatly due to this storm, as it has in Marion and Cedar Rapids and the other communities. The city's put together a program called Operation Relief. Can you talk a little bit about that?
What we've done is we're putting together a program where people can. We donated a bunch of trees. We continue to donate. We during our pickup of debris, we had a program where people could also get trees to plant, and then we've put forward $100,000 of lost dollars, local option sales tax, which has been a godsend. But so $100,000 towards getting some type of canopy started again, so we can at some point have a normal city canopy again.
Well, and you and I won't be around long enough to see those trees mature, so we're planting those trees for our grandkids and great-grandkids.
Yes, we are.
It looks like Hiawatha is going to have a tree distribution event. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're going to hold that, and it's kind of up on the screen, and I'm looking at it here. It's going to be a assortment of trees, and they're $25 per tree, up to 2 for each household, and that's just a way to get started for these people to get the trees and get them planted in their yard.
Those are subsidized trees, aren't they?
Absolutely.
So the city's been able to get some promotional dollars and donated dollars to be able to offset the cost.
And those donated dollars continue to come in.
So it looks like you can start your tree orders on September the 6th, and then eventually the pickup day is September 26th.
Yep.
So it's coming up.
Yeah.
And of course, I understand fall's the best time to plant trees.
Absolutely.
Just heard that.
Did you get your 2?
Not yet. One of the things Hiawatha is struggling with, and I know a lot of communities are trying to fill the housing gap. If you drive around Hiawatha, you know that there's some projects going on. One that I've been involved with for a while, of course, is Town Center, right there in front of City Hall. Can you talk a little bit about the new development that's coming in that area where the old Oak Brook trailer park used to be?
We got a couple things going on up there. The old Ahern property, which was the plumbing company that was in Hiawatha. We got a group out of Iowa City that has built in Hiawatha before, and they're looking at bringing a 48-unit multifamily and 5,000 square feet of mixed commercial use. They've kind of indicated that maybe the mixed use will be a fitness center, and I know that we're sure hoping for a restaurant. We've been obviously trying to get some more restaurants in the area, but that's an exciting project. And then another project that is in the old Oak Brook property is through Hub LLC, and they're going to start down in the back of the property, and they're going to do some mixed, that's going to be condensed residential down there, and the first project's going to be about 30 units, and there's actually 2 of them that kind of mimic each other, and then they're going to move as they get them built. They're going to move towards the front, and there's going to be some mixed use up there with some commercial along Robbins Road.
And it looks like we've got some residential will be coming online in Todd Hills, Rolling Prairies, 4th and 5th Edition, and Del Ridge.
Yeah, we did a study 2 years ago that told us how many units we were short, and it was amazing. And so we loaded up a bunch of the people that, council members and staff, and we ran over to Des Moines and looked at a Smart Series homes. And, things are changing, and people having an acre of ground are larger, are getting few and far between. And I think that we're going to see that be popular in our area also. So I think we'll see that coming.
Bill, I love this quote: "People bring business, business brings people." That sounds exactly like Village Center.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it seems to me once the new projects that are coming online here in the next several months will be the catalyst for more development at Village Center.
Absolutely. If you drive by City Hall, you can kind of see the things that are going on up there, and that Village Center is right there on that corner, and that's just going to be, it's really going to increase the walkable traffic that's there and the comfortable feel for a downtown area that we're trying to develop.
And speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about the Village Center Plaza that is under construction right now. Can you just tell everybody what the city's hope is for that project?
Well, that obviously is sitting right along the nature trail, and we're going to have that little building out there is going to be restrooms, and it's a situation where we're trying to be more friendly with that parking lot there, and the ability. It's going to be a little like amphitheater, so we can have some bands, we can have some entertainment out there, and maybe there'll be a wedding out there. I don't know what'll end up being out there, but it's going to be a fun area for people to congregate, and that's what we're trying to develop.
When do you think that project will be completed? Yet this fall?
Yeah, I think it will.
So today's Thursday. 2 nights ago, we were at another ribbon cutting for the Public Safety Training Garage Facility, which is just south of City Hall. Can you tell everybody a little bit about what's the purpose of that facility and how it attracts good quality police officers to the community?
As we all know in business, that it continues to be a struggle to retain quality people. And that project was kind of on the top of my list to get it completed, because they had really no place to train, no fitness center. We were keeping the cars in an old building across the street that was about ready to fall down. And Deratio should have took it down, but it didn't. And I think they took it down the next day after the building opened up. But anyway, that really needed to happen, and we did that. That whole project was only $1 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but in essence, for what we have over there, it was valued. It's a high valued project.
It's a great space. I had the opportunity to walk through everything, and I think if I were a prospective police officer and saw that, I would be impressed by that, to think that the city supports what we do, and I think it would be a great recruiting tool.
Well, and we're already sharing it with the region. There's been other police area, officer areas that use it for training and other things, and so it's just another regional tool that people are welcome to use, and we hope that it helps everybody.
And last, let's talk about Turtle Creek Park, Phase 1 and 2. Tell everybody where Turtle Creek Park is and what the plans are going forward with that project.
Turtle Creek Park is on the west side of the interstate going north towards County Home Road. And with the way that area is growing, it seems like we do a house permit about once a week. It's just, there's a lot of basements going in out there. We actually, at the council meeting last night, we had a project that's looking at another 120 homes out there. And that park's going to be soon to be probably more popular than the other 3 parks that we currently have. 4 parks. I forget about the dog park, but and so I just think that that was a good investment. I think that as that continues to grow out there, we've had some talks and with the school district, and there might even be a chance that a school will go out there.
Excellent. We are blessed with great parks in Hiawatha. We've been able to put some lighting in Guthridge Park and Clark Park, which is terrific for people walking early in the mornings and late in the evenings. It seems like parks are still an important focus for Hiawatha.
Absolutely, and the lighting is definitely making it safer. We want to make sure that the people that are using those trails, that they feel safe and can go out there and enjoy their fitness regimen, I guess I'd call it. I ain't been out there, but.
Well, we know a lot of businesses struggled in 2020, but we had some pretty strong economic development in Hiawatha. BDC Group and the Home Depot Distribution Center both came online. Can you talk just a little bit about that?
Yeah, that project was over by the current Windstream building to the north. There's been 3 mixed-use buildings put in there, and that BDC, their underground mooring facility, and with all that's going on with fiber and what we've done, we're working on a ring around the city of Hiawatha, and they're going to be a great asset. And the Home Depot distribution, that's also one of those things that continues to increase. Nobody seems to go to the retail stores anymore. They get online and know what they want, and here it comes on the doorstep. So handy facility.
Well, and just perfect time too, because I know we talk about this every year, but Tower Terrace is actually going to happen. We just finished acquiring some of the right-of-way access here in the last 6 months. I know they've been out there marking, and the plans have been done, and it looks like we've also did some bid letting too. So can you talk a little bit about Tower Terrace, when the project you think will commence, when it'll be completed, and what kind of impact it'll have on the metro area?
Tower Terrace is going to happen. There's still people that question that. If you spend much time on Tower Terrace Road, you'll see people out there perk testing and getting ready for that event. The thing about Tower Terrace is we've already had a ton of development out there, but this is just going to make it that much better for the people that are there and the people that are coming. There's a lot of acres still out there to be developed. I would foresee that tower to come down. I know that we've talked to them, and it requires some changing of the tower up there by Walker, but I think the popularity of that land will probably force that tower to come down. And the trailer court has been sold twice since I've been mayor, and I'm sure, rumor has it that a truck stop has bought that trailer court. So,
well, and to me, the proud part of, I suppose, of Tower Terrace is it's not just a Hiawatha project. This is a Robbins, Cedar Rapids, Hiawatha, DOT, federal. I mean, everybody's involved to make this happen, and it's been talked about for decades. Talk a little bit about the design, this diverging diamond, is that what it's called?
Yeah, they're building them over. Well, first I want to say that, just tonight we can see that Brad Hart's here and Nick is here from, and it's a regional event. And these people, we're all working together and getting these projects done. And that's excellent, to me, because this is not about Hiawatha, this is not about Marion, this is not about Robbins or any of them. It's about regional. And the interchange, once it gets done with it being a diverging diamond, that's just a fancy word for flushing more cars through. And there's several of them in the Des Moines area, and they're a little tricky to navigate. It's probably going to be a situation where, like the people with roundabouts, they kind of get scared when they get up to it, and then it's no big deal. But what's neat about this project is once they get Tower Terrace done, the DOT has indicated to us that they want to circle back around and look at the idea of Boyson Road. And because we're putting way more cars through Boyson Road interchange than it's really capable of.
Well, I know if you've gone through that intersection, North Center Point Road, Boyson, that whole area at rush hour, it can be a little bit of a challenge. I know we've made some improvements to get traffic through there, but it sounds like we might get a roundabout right there off of 12th Street. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, right there where Mercy has put their new 24/365 emergency center. That corner's been a little tricky because of the increase in traffic. We got 2 real successful dealerships there, and there's a lot of cars during the 3 to 5 and 3 to 6, what have you. So we went to the stakeholders, which would have been Mercy and the Jungi family and the Ryan family, and said, what do you guys want? And crazy thing is they like the idea of the roundabout, and because we were thinking maybe some stoplights, but roundabouts keep the traffic moving, and we're excited that they chose, and that's what we're looking to do.
Well, if you've been stuck on 12th Street headed north or south there at 5 o'clock, it's Russian roulette to try to get on to Boyson, either west or east, so that'll be a great improvement.
Yep.
So you mentioned it earlier, Lost. The city's been a benefactor of Lost for almost 10 years now. It looks like we've raised a little over $11 million in Lost money, and I know the referendum's coming up again. Can you tell us just a little bit briefly about how that money is allocated in the city?
There's just a whole lot of projects that wouldn't happen. There's just, and the numbers are up there, but we've done projects in the parks. It's playground equipment. It's the in front of City Hall, the amphitheater, little gathering area. It's street projects. It's everybody. And $11 million is just a lot to a small town's budget. And I'm amazed that we've got all these projects done, and with the timing, because you would think that those projects would take a lot longer, and it's a situation that I'm glad that we've got this extra lost dollars, because we would continue to wait, and I think the citizens would be like waiting for stuff that we talk about, and then it takes so long to get done.
So we won't spend much time on it, but on the horizon, the city's kind of looking at a second fire station and maybe a referendum in 2022?
I would say yes. The poor fire station, that was one of those situations when I first got elected that I looked in there, and that thing is just, those poor guys are cramming. That thing's bursting at the seams. And we're going to do a Band-Aid to that, kind of like the Boyson Road Band-Aid to get people through there. But we're going to do, we need sleeping rooms. We got people staying overnight up there. They need to be separated and to get some good rest. And so we're going to do some remodel to the existing fire station, and then we're going to seriously study what we do next. We have property bought in for a second fire station. We've also thought about one central fire station that would be closer to, we have a lot of longevity with volunteers that like that area. And so we got a lot of things to talk about, but that's going to be one of our top things to work on for the near future.
So I guess to be left with that is stay tuned.
Yeah.
So Hiawatha had some great celebrations this last year.
Absolutely.
Kim Downs had a title change from city administrator to city manager, and she won this kind of important award, I guess, the 2020 City Manager of the Year. That's pretty impressive.
It's excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Kim's been doing the job for a long time anyway, and she's just excellent at wearing different hats, and her success makes me look good. And I'm very lucky to have her in my corner, and the city does well, and we're happy that we got that changed, because she deserves it.
Well, and I think if Kim were up here, she would tell you, thanks, Bill, but really, the reason I'm able to do what I do is because of the great staff and support that I have, whether it's folks that work for City Hall, but also the mayor and City Council.
Yeah, it's amazing. We got a good team. It's, we don't have those meetings where we can't agree upon things. We can agree to disagree and move on. And we're very fortunate with the team that we got, all the employees. It's just amazing right now, and I hope that I don't jinx it, but it's amazing right now how good things are going for Hiawatha.
Agree. So Public Works Director Rod Yasa was awarded the Iowa Parks and Recreation Association Claude Arns Community Service Volunteer Award. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, he's here.
He was here.
Yeah.
There he is. Where is he? There he is, Rod.
There he is.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
Rod.
Congratulations.
Does anyone in this audience know who Claude Arns is other than me? I grew up in Grinnell, and Claude Arns owned a company called Miracle Playground Equipment. And he's left a lot of money to the city of Grinnell, and I was impressed that he put money forward for this award. My first job when I was 14 was driving around southern Iowa putting together something called Mira Huts. Anyone know what a Mira Hut is? It's a hog farrowing system. We got paid $20 for each one. I thought I was a millionaire. It was one of my favorite jobs, so I was proud to see that.
Wow.
Mayor, I know you campaigned on this. You wanted to keep the levy low or keep it the same or low. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, that's a dream, maybe. We've went through a lot. Duratio and COVID has been changing the dynamics of what's next. We have a lot of success as far as development. Really haven't stepped back or took our foot off the gas pedal on the development. So hopefully with what keeps coming online, as we develop these properties, it'll give us the revenues to maybe look at the idea of lowering the levy again. We've lowered it 3 times since I've been in office, and I want to continue that because I think the momentum is showing.
Well, onward and upward.
Hopefully.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for your service.
It's been awesome. Thank you.
Next, I want to introduce our incoming chair, Melissa White.
All right. I am honored to introduce today's speakers. We will start with Senator Liz Mathis, who will be giving us an update regarding economic development in the state of Iowa. Liz Mathis has been a journalist, a nonprofit leader, and a state senator. Liz grew up on a farm in eastern Iowa doing all the chores you'd expect a farm kid to do. Her mom was a nurse for the town doctor, and her dad sold seed corn in addition to farming. At the University of Iowa, Liz earned a degree in journalism, met her husband, and got her first job in broadcasting for a local radio station. Soon, a position at KWWL Channel 7 followed, where she began to anchor at age 23. Later, Liz taught at Wartburg College in Waverly, and then returned to anchor chair for KCRG Channel 9. Liz started a new career in 2007 as a nonprofit leader in Cedar Rapids, working for Horizons and later with Four Oaks. In 2011, Liz was elected to the state senate representing parts of Lynn County. Liz and her husband Mark live in Hiawatha now after raising their kids. Please join me in welcoming Senator Liz Mathis.
Thank you for the warm welcome. This is terrific to see everybody here. Good stories. Good stories, Mark. So thank you for allowing me to speak here today. I appreciate all of you making Hiawatha a great place to live and work, and Bill says play. I'm a Hiawatha resident, and I can tell you that the city administration and the staff, the city council, and the mayor are committed to customer service and communicating to residents. I see that firsthand. I want to talk with you today about the state's economy and some programs that have and will aid economic development and the changing nature of the state's and our community's workforce. Help wanted. We have seen the signs and the job postings, and many of you here have probably posted job openings. Many of us are wondering just where we will find qualified workers. How much does it cost to train those workers, retain them, and what will long-lasting effects of COVID be regarding our workforce? I'd like to address some of these challenges from a state legislator's perspective. First, a personal story, and we already heard, I grew up on an Iowa farm, and I detasseled corn, and I mowed cemeteries, but I did not set up farrowing operations. I did pull pigs out of sows because my hands were the smallest in the family, so it wasn't a great job, but you just have to do it. I was lucky. My parents both attended college, and they encouraged me to further my education. So I worked as a broadcast journalist, and you know the rest of the story. These experiences have given me a unique perspective on economic development and the workforce. Certainly, my husband's business he set out to build 25 years ago with 2 other partners has also given me an up-close look at retaining 40 employees, paying business taxes, and the risk and rigors of running a small business. He and his partners have experienced how COVID has changed the way they do business and how the workforce is changing both in the office and remotely. A recent article in the Gazette talked about the massive disruption that COVID has caused in the workforce. The article states, quote, 55% of Americans are either employed or they're looking for a job, what economists would describe as being in the workforce, and they are likely to look for new employment in the next 12 months. The article goes on to say, quote, Americans are prioritizing flexible work arrangements, 56%, higher pay, 53%, and job security, 47%, in their careers in the wake of coronavirus and the pandemic. More than 2/5, 41% of Americans in the labor market expect to work remotely at least 1 day a week in the next year, end quote. A CNBC article from July states our issues this way. Even before the pandemic forced businesses and workers to adapt a partially remote economy, automation and globalization were changing the way we work, and employers were sounding the alarm that job seekers with key skills were in noticeably short supply. It continues, those changes sped up over the past year as employers embraced new ways to continue serving their customers, with fewer workers, with existing jobs, relying even more heavily on workers with strong technical and digital skills. So the article continues, what was expected to happen over the next 10 to 20 years has instead happened in just a few months. And there is evidence that the need for upskilling is stronger than ever. Another CNBC article indicated the current labor market may be an opportunity for underpaid and marginalized workers to close pay gaps. So let's start with upskilling. Through my work at Four Oaks, we are witnessing potential workers, parents who need soft skills. And Debbie Craig is here today. She is in charge of a program at Four Oaks called Total Child Workforce. She knows firsthand about upskilling. Some of the parents need soft skills training to even enroll in a K-PACE program, a pre-college prep program at Kirkwood. The potential students could benefit, and they want to benefit, from training to help fill gaps. The state's Future Ready program also offers scholarships and grants too, and addresses training in specific areas. But as community leaders in Hiawatha and elected officials, we need to try harder to match prospective high school students or young adults with career education, mentoring, and encouraging their potential, a lot like what Total Child Workforce does. We can do better, and we must do better to work on growing this potential that's in our state if we want our economy to thrive. We cannot recruit our way out of worker shortages. Here are some other shortages to think about. Just like in manufacturing, where the generator fuels a manufacturing line, the generator for our workforce is education. We want the next workforce to be ready where it matters, and our efforts should be supporting education and innovation, creative curriculum in our school districts, community colleges, and Regents institutions. Representative Eric Giardi is in the audience today. Eric, where are you? Right over here. Okay. Thank you for coming today. He agrees with me about the importance of our community colleges, specifically Kirkwood. The work that Kirkwood does for business is priceless. Is someone here from Kirkwood today? Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. At a state level, we must continue to work with our community colleges as they provide the much-needed training and education that our local businesses and economy needs. I believe our education budget is a statement about the state's future, and we need to get more serious about the bottom line. But we need highly trained educators to lead the way. I just talked with Shannon Bisgard, the superintendent of Linn-Mar, and he replaced 50 teachers this year, 50. Some because of retirement, but others just leaving teaching. He said when he asked teachers about their top concerns, this year it's COVID, health safety, kids' mental health, and school safety. He would normally receive 90 to 100 resumes for one job opening. This year, he received 25 to 30, and for a special education opening, 1 resume. You can imagine that rural schools are struggling even more to find teachers to fill these vacancies. So, we first need to address teacher shortages that have emerged. Even before COVID, I twice filed a bill to work with other state legislators, examine the shortages, and make recommendations to the legislature. This fall, we will be traveling to school districts to do just that and deliver information to other legislators in January and February about retaining our best and brightest teachers and strengthening the teacher pipeline. The same can be said for so many other essential worker positions, healthcare workers in our hospitals and clinics and emergency medical services, along with child care, mental health care, and home health care. We must, as elected officials, understand that human infrastructure is the backbone of our communities and is interconnected with the success of our economy. One cannot be successful without the other. Case in point, childcare. We have seen the business community understand and take action around childcare. Doug Newman, you're one of those activists. Your activism, along with several others, Nick Glue, was a large driver in the legislature's work around childcare this session. And your understanding that working parents need access to reliable, safe, and affordable childcare in order to continue their jobs helped pass important legislation. That included an expansion of child-dependent and development care tax credits. This will increase the income threshold for taxpayers who qualify for the state tax credit from their salaries of $45,000 to $90,000. This does not make any changes to those who are already eligible to claim the credit. A second child care improvement is that the Department of Human Services is instructed to increase child care provider rates as required by federal guidelines with available funding. DHS has enough money to do the increase required by the feds. And there is also a new program that will allow a family to remain eligible for child care assistance up to 250% of the federal poverty level, or 275% for a family with a child or children needing special assistance. It sets up a sliding scale to determine the amount of child care the family will pay themselves. The program must be implemented by July 1st of next year. Telehealth parity also was passed in the legislature this year. Now, you might ask yourself, how does this affect worker shortages, recruitment, and retention? But during COVID, it was imperative that children and families had safe access to regular health care. We saw the normal number of missed mental health appointments improve in attendance because those appointments were done via telehealth. Healthcare groups, such as Abbey Mental Health, tracked statistics that showed telehealth reduced drive times and unreliable transportation, and it increased access, especially in our rural areas. This, according to Abbey, contributed to regular visits, which led to overall health improvements and better work attendance. The bill we passed calls for parity and will pay providers the same reimbursement as though it was an in-person visit, enough to continue to offer the service to patients. Healthy patient, healthy worker. In my work as a legislator, I've worked on issues around something called social determinants of health. I am the ranking member on Health and Human Services and was the chair when we were in the majority. Those outside forces, the social determinants of health that prevent someone from being healthy, such as a lack of permanent housing. Think about a child who is couch surfing. What are their chances of future success in school? What are their chances of controlling their diabetes? What are their chances of keeping depression at bay? This will be a member of our future workforce. And what about the present workforce? A study done by the City of Des Moines and the Polk County Housing Trust Fund says a shortage of housing for households at any income level may adversely affect both businesses expanding in the market and economic development efforts that attract new businesses. So, the shortage of affordable and workforce housing for our state's workforce has emerged as a need in almost every Iowa community. Legislation that we passed this year expanded redevelopment tax credits and increased support for housing programs. The Housing Trust Fund will raise the cap on transfers of real estate transfer taxes to the State Housing Trust Fund to $7 million from the current $3 million. There are two programs that help develop more housing, and one is new construction or rehab, and the other is project housing that cities and economic development groups or even nonprofits construct. A second thing, the Disaster Recovery and Eviction Prevention Program. This provides for an established disaster recovery trust fund and an eviction prevention program, which were original parts of the governor's housing initiative. Thirdly, workforce housing tax credits. The compromise contains the Senate proposal that provides $15 million for FY22 to address the backlog for tax credits in the large cities portion of the program for over 2 years. $2 million of that increase is for smaller cities. The compromise also increases the program overall by $10 million to $35 million beginning in FY23. The program will be evenly divided between small cities and large cities, and the original version had a $5 million increase. And how is the state partnering with municipalities to keep our communities vibrant and growing? In regard to redevelopment, brownfields and gray fields, and their redevelopment tax credit. I know that when Lon Pluckin was the city manager of Marion, he and I talked about this every single year when we met. So I put Lon in front of IEDA, and he worked on a policy bill with them, and it came up this year. So he and I filed a bill last year suggesting an increase to the program. And during the session this year, legislators agreed. The tax credit will extend the program for 10 years through June 30th, 2031, and have a $5 million increase in the program cap, raising it to $15 million. That is good news for cities like Hiawatha and Marion and Cedar Rapids. The downtown loan guarantee, and Kim knows about this creates a downtown loan guarantee program to be administered by the Iowa Economic Development Authority, IEDA, in partnership with the Iowa Finance Authority. The purpose of the program is to encourage downtown businesses and banks to reinvest and reopen following the COVID-19 pandemic. All of these programs provide a path to better and available housing for the state's workforce and to help business grow. These are efforts to attract future employees and retrain employees we have. So Kim Downs also asked me to talk about Manufacturing 4.0. I serve as the Senate's Democratic representative to the Iowa Economic Development Authority, IEDA. The IEDA and the Innovation Council created Manufacturing 4.0 to help small and medium-sized manufacturers innovate. There was a bill passed to codify Manufacturing 4.0 technology investment program to be administered by the IEDA. The investments are defined as projects intended to lead to the adoption and integration of smart technologies into existing manufacturing operations. The purpose of the new financial assistance program is to mitigate the risk to manufacturers that might occur through significant technology investments. So Manufacturing 4.0 is on its way. However, the bill passed and there was no funding, no appropriation placed for the fund. That is our work that we have cut out for us next year, and we hope to put money in that fund so it sails through. In terms of the state directly helping Hiawatha businesses during COVID this year, there were 10 Hiawatha businesses awarded small business grants from the CARES Act dollars. That number totaled $152,634 to keep their doors open. In closing, we have work to do, literally. We can see a boom time. Coupled with the American Rescue Plan dollars, local governments are estimated to receive, and this is across the United States, approximately $1.162 billion from the local fiscal relief fund. On top of that, our March 2021 revenue estimating conference for the state estimates for FY21 a show of a 1.9% increase in revenue. FY22, the prospectus is 3.8, and for FY23, 4.5% increase. So, our future is bright, but we need to keep turning up the wattage. We know what areas we need to work on, so please, let's continue the dialogue with Representative Jurdy and me so the state can be a good partner in Hiawatha's future. Again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today about Hiawatha and the state's economy.
Okay, now on to our keynote speaker, United States Congresswoman Ashley Hinson. She's here today to recap and share what the future holds for our economy as a whole and highlight programming incentives that aid in strengthening our business community as it navigates COVID and the recession. Congresswoman Ashley Hinson proudly represents Iowa's 1st District in Congress. An Iowa native, Ashley is an award-winning journalist and a proud wife and mother of 2. Ashley previously served in the Iowa State House and was the first woman to represent Iowa's 67th House District, serving Hiawatha, Robbins, Cedar Rapids, and Marion, where she is currently residing. Prior to serving Iowans in public office, Ashley was a reporter for KCRG in Cedar Rapids. For more than a decade, she had the opportunity to connect with Iowa's small business owners and community leaders. Ashley is an active member of her community, regularly playing violin at the Antioch Christian Church, and has leadership roles in nonprofits, including March of Dimes and the Young Parents Network. Please join me in welcoming Congresswoman Ashley Hinson.
Thank you, Melissa, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out on this beautiful day. And first, I just want to start off by saying how lucky I am to represent Hiawatha. Obviously, served in the state legislature representing you and working on many of the issues for the city, but now I'm excited to take that up a notch, take those issues and those stories to the federal level and be your voice in Washington, D.C., because it's important that we are able to cut through a lot of the chaos and dysfunction and make sure Iowa's stories are told on that stage. So I'm glad to be with you tonight to provide an update on what's happening in U.S. Congress right now. I'm in Washington primarily to make sure that kitchen table and business roundtable discussions that you all have here in Iowa are represented and they have a seat at the table in those discussions. So I'm about to complete my third 20-county tour, obviously a lot of windshield time. As you can imagine, the mom van's got some miles on it these days. But I've been meeting with individuals, with businesses, doing town halls, making sure that I was out listening to what's on your mind. What are those issues that you're facing every day, facing our communities? And I always leave every one of those meetings with really, really good feedback, but most importantly, ideas that I can take to that policymaking table in Washington. Number one, those stories help me to understand what's working really well, because there are some things that the government gets right, and we can all work together and make sure that those are functioning at a high level. But there are also sometimes policies that make life harder, and so it's our job to make sure that we're navigating those and trying to make sure that we're fixing anything that we can. I always like to tell people, if we don't know it's broken, we can't fix it, and that's why having those conversations is so crucial. So I serve on the House Appropriations Committee and the House Budget Committee in Washington, D.C. Both of those committees deal with government spending, which is a pretty hot topic these days. So I'm using my role on both of these committees to ensure that Iowans do have a seat at the table during the spending process, because we're talking trillions, and I think a lot of people have kind of lost sight of how many zeros are in trillions of dollars, but there are a lot of them. I tell my son, Max, he likes to think of every dollar in terms of a Matchbox car, because that's the most relatable thing to him. So I say, oh, honey, we're talking about 1 trillion Matchbox cars. Kind of crazy when you think about it in those terms, but I'm trying to make sure that taxpayer dollars are spent wisely and that that perspective is represented in Washington. I want to talk quickly about something that we already discussed tonight, the Tower Terrace Road project, which has been something that I obviously, during my time in the State House, worked on as transportation chair. That work did not stop when I left to work for you in Washington, D.C. So I'm working right now to help fill in part of that funding stream with federal funding from Washington. As a member of the House Appropriations Committee, I was able to secure a community project funding request. It's my goal to bring as many of those dollars back to Iowa as possible. You all pay taxes, and you deserve to have those reinvested in your communities. So I went to bat. I submitted 10 of those community project funding requests. Some of them were infrastructure-based. One was for a fire department, for example. Also, some for affordable housing. But I did submit for Tower Terrace Road as well. Was able to secure $5 million to help secure funding for Tower Terrace Road. It's passed in a House Appropriations bill at this point. Very proud that we were able to get that funding request included in the bill. As you know, and I've sat there myself, I think, Mark, you talked about that intersection right there at Center Point. Boy, it's miserable at 5 o'clock, so I guess it's a good thing we're all in this room right now, avoiding that. But, you know, it's really about making life easier for people, and I think that's something that will not only help create economic development, but it will relieve traffic, improve access to schools, encourage economic development, just so many really good opportunities coming out of that project. So I'm going to keep going to bat for it. There are some hurdles that we still have to clear there. The federal budget process is kind of a mess right now, in case you haven't noticed. So we're trying to work through that, and I will keep advocating, and I'll keep you posted as we continue to work for federal resources that will help our community. After the challenges that we've had in the last year, it's really important now more than ever that we do have that voice in Washington. Between the pandemic and the derecho here, we have had our fair share of hardships over the last year, but we all know it. We took on these challenges together. We came together as a community, and I believe we are going to come out on the other side of this stronger because we do know how to do that here in Iowa, and we are resilient with our spirit. So we're working at every single level, the federal level, the local level, the community level, and then the family level, of course, to overcome all of these challenges that we've seen come our way. As you all know, we just marked the 1-year anniversary of the derecho just a few weeks ago. Last year's derecho was the most expensive thunderstorm in FEMA history. And we've been telling that story all across the country for people who don't know what a derecho is. One of my colleagues in the House lives in Missouri. He calls it the Dorito because he can't ever get it right. But I'm like, no, it's the derecho. So there is a lot of education that we have to be doing to make sure people understand what our community experienced in not only experiencing the storm, but recovering from the storm. It did take a huge toll on our families, our farmers, our small businesses that were already struggling. So in the face of that devastation, we all know we did what Iowans do best. We pulled together to rebuild. We're still rebuilding. I'm hearing that at a lot of my county town halls, that there are people who still are struggling to rebuild. I have seen countless examples of community organizations that are stepping up to help neighbors and friends, reaching out to those that are in need. One of the best examples of that right here in town is the Derecho Storm Resource Center. Was opened within just a couple of days, obviously, of the derecho, helped countless Iowans feed themselves, clothe their families when they had nowhere else to turn. I was there just soon after it opened up and have spent countless hours there alongside volunteers to help others. So that's just one example of a community organization that has really risen out of a really terrible day. And now they continue to help people, and I'm really excited to work alongside them. A year later, still a lot of work to be done to rebuild. Nearly every organization, business, or farmer I still talk to is still grappling with some sort of derecho damage. And being on the ground during the recovery process and hearing those stories, it really has impacted a lot of what I see as a really important role in Congress right now. A top priority for me to ensure that our community does have the resources to not only rebuild fully from this disaster, but that we can be better prepared for whatever comes next. Because we know we can't control Mother Nature, but we can control our preparation. So I'm advocating for the needs of Iowans and pursuing a lot of those common sense solutions, and we're making some progress there. I have heard from many Iowans who, not only at the individual level and the government level, but they've been really frustrated with FEMA's response in responding to the storm. I know, Kim, we've worked a lot on this. You talk about not realizing how many trees Hiawatha had, having to take pictures of all those trees and document and just go through that process. It's so onerous, and it is frustrating. It's frustrating if you have the resources to deal with it. It's even more frustrating if you don't. And we know that, so we have a lot of people who've had trouble navigating the public and the individual assistance programs with FEMA. In fact, current estimates show only 15% of individual assistance applications related to the derecho have been approved. That's kind of shocking, right? I think everybody would expect that number to be higher. And that abysmal number shows, in my mind, that the program is not working as it was intended to work. And I think hearing those struggles and hearing from people who they've been waiting for a response or they just gave up, the process wasn't very clear in terms of their applications, what was expected on appeal. That's what we've heard literally on the ground from folks. We've heard it from our community partners, and we've heard it from our cities. Local governments who need public assistance have run into a lot of those issues as well. So being able to tell that story in Washington, D.C. was crucial to what I needed to get to be able to push FEMA to get the ball rolling on some of these improvements. They needed to step up and pay attention, and boy, we've been aggressive with making sure they would pay attention. During a House Appropriations meeting in March, I was able to raise concerns directly to them about the agency's failures and when it came to them adequately responding. within a few hours, we were able to get federal grants for debris removal in the district. So it's amazing what a little public pressure will do when you're going after them in a committee hearing. So again, hearing those stories and being able to advocate effectively has been absolutely crucial to help get things done for this district and move the ball forward. The COVID-19 pandemic was obviously a huge challenge over the last year, and it's not done. It's set our economy back, continues to be a struggle. You talk about trouble getting people in the door. There is a fear over the pandemic. There's a fear about what's coming next. So I'm in continuous communication in our office. I have one of my staff members here today. If anybody has any challenges, please reach out to our office, because that's what we're here for, is to help you navigate. When it comes to the local small business conversations, helping workers to ensure our economy is working for everyone, we have to be looking forward. We can't be looking backward, and so that's what we're doing right now. I've been selected to serve on the Jobs and Economy Task Force in Congress, and I'm going to be working with my colleagues to focus on common sense solutions to address those problems, putting working families first. And our goal here is really to come up with ideas. So if you have ideas, I want to hear them, because we need to be ready to go so that we can come out of this and we can recover. We're experiencing some major challenges with inflation and the pandemic. So I'm actually going to be chairing the 21st Century Workforce Subcommittee on that working group. Making sure we do have that skilled workforce is absolutely crucial to making sure that our small businesses and our job creators can move forward and provide freedom and opportunity for Iowa families. So again, I look to all of you in this room as my partners in making sure we're being successful here and that we come to the table with ideas that will help advance Iowa. And before I wrap up tonight, I wanted to talk about a piece of bipartisan legislation that I think we can all be proud of in this room that is really relevant right now with what's happened overseas in Afghanistan. We have a lot of veterans who struggle with mental health issues. Many of them live right here in our own communities. You probably employ or work with many of them. And the Sergeant Ketchum Rural Veterans Mental Health Act is a bipartisan piece of legislation. The entire Iowa delegation worked together on it. I was the Republican lead, and Congresswoman Axney from Des Moines was the Democrat lead on the bill. We want to make sure that veterans, no matter where they are, no matter what their zip code is, that they have access to mental health care. Sergeant Ketchum was from Davenport. He did serve our country overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he came home suffering from PTSD. And he sought help from the VA and was turned away. And later that day, he took his own life. And no veteran should ever feel that way. And I was in President Biden's office when he called the Sergeant Ketchum's mom when he was signing the bill. No mom should ever have to deal with that conversation, but we're hopeful that we can help some other people regardless of where they live. So the legislation is named in his honor. We were proud to all work on that as an Iowa delegation. Obviously it affected an Iowa veteran, but this will help hopefully veterans all over the country. We're very proud of that. Some things do transcend politics, and caring for our nation's veterans is certainly one of those things. So I know it's been a difficult few weeks for us as a country and for those who serve our country, so we'll continue to work to ensure veterans can get the care that they need. So again, those are just a couple of updates. I'm happy to take some questions. It's a very interesting time with inflation and budget, and we'll be called back to Washington, D.C. here in a few weeks to keep working for you. But it's an honor to serve you in Washington, D.C., and I wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here tonight and provide you with an update on some of what's happening in Washington. I know this is a great place to work, to raise a family, and to play, and it's an honor to represent you, and I think we can all look forward to those opportunities ahead, and I can't wait to see what's next for this community. So thank you for having me tonight, and I'm happy to take some questions, or I don't know how we want to do this, or if you want to get to your evenings, I'm totally fine with that too. So, but it's just an honor to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Hinson. Again, terrific speakers, a great conversation with Bill. He was better than me, of course, as we would expect. Senator Mathis, thank you so much. Congresswoman Hinson, thank you too. This is an opportunity to ask all the speakers questions if you like. So, we've got a microphone here. We can hand it around if folks want to ask questions. If not, we can go back and have a beer, maybe a little food. But
I want to be the politician in between people and their drinks.
That's right, exactly. Anybody here have any questions for any of the speakers tonight? come on. Gotta be one.
I don't have a question, but I would like to say something to both of our legislators.
Please come up, Kim.
You know, we talk about terrorist interchange, and I know many of us, Bill even mentioned it, you know, we've been talking about that for 30 years, and actually I think Mike over here from Krista Group said the same thing. We've been talking about that forever. I have been worked for the city for 16 years now, I think, and I would say probably the last 10 years has really been the kickstart to where we are today. Probably first 8 years was convincing everybody that we really needed it, and that was at the federal level, to the state level, and local level. Obviously, local level is a little bit easier to persuade. So we certainly dug in our heels and had many conversations with both Ashley and Liz, and these two women have really supported the Tower Terrace project. From the DOT level, both of these individuals did that, and I want to thank you for all of that work that you did, because that is something for all of us to be really proud of, and that is something that should go on all of our resumes, honestly, because that is a big feat. Then from there, you know, we're not giving up there. Our metro communities are working together, and that's the other thing we should all be really proud of, is that our metro communities are working together to extend Tower Terrace interchange from 380 for where we are stopping with the current interchange project all the way to Highway 13, and that again is a big feat and will cost about $53 million altogether to make that happen. And that's where Ashley is coming into play this last year. We know that we can accomplish this, and I always say in every meeting, it's not if, it's when we are awarded build dollar, or now it's raise dollars. So every president changes its name along the way. So you gotta follow. It's like, you know, a long movie, you can't walk away kind of thing. So you gotta stay engaged and keep everybody moving in the same direction. So with that is where, when Ashley talked about the community project funding, that is another application that we put together to help do environmental studies and all those types of things to keep this project going. I think the important piece of this is that there's areas with these dollars, it's all about economic development. So in some of our communities, interstate business is not necessarily what everybody has. The city of Robbins, for example. So we are lockstep, arm in arm, working together to make sure that we can literally bridge that gap, because there is a couple of them that need to go through there. Yes, so this is why it's so important, and we are gonna stay on task, and I know both of these ladies are gonna help us do that. So I just wanna thank you for all of the work that you've done at any level that helps our communities along with Tower Terrace Interchange, so thank you.
You know, Kim and I have worked together since 2005. There is no better cheerleader for Hiawatha than our city manager, and we are really lucky to have her. Kim, thank you. Before I turn the rest of the meeting over to Melissa, who will do a much better job running HEDCO than I ever did, I want to again thank the Crystal Group. This is a wonderful facility. Thank you so much for allowing us to have our meeting here. And I also want to thank our title sponsors again, Alliant Energy and ITC, and of course all of our other sponsors that help us do what we do. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but without your support, we can't have these kinds of events. We can't support our local businesses. So thank you all very much. And we'll conclude with having Melissa come up and take over the helm, pass the baton as it were.
But before you can sit down.
Oh, wow.
So this is a surprise. We as a board want to thank you for all that you've done. I'd say leadership. As you can tell, he's awesome at speaking. He's also awesome at leading. So this past year, it's been a struggle right? A lot of Zoom,
Lot of
ECHO
Zoom.
meetings, lots of different unique ways for us to reach out to the community and connect. So we thank you. You've been a great
Thank you.
leader and big shoes for me to fill, but I'm going to give it a shot.
It's been an honor. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
Thank you. So I'm not going to take a lot of time here, but I just want to say that I'm very honored to be serving as head co chair this next year. As you know, this is voluntary, so for us to be up here, it's not something that I always feel comfortable with, but I look forward to a year of connecting with businesses, celebrating, their accomplishments, successes. We're also going to be looking at updating the strategic plan, which will give us more vision and give us priorities for the next 3 years. So with this, I know that everybody's out of drinks here, but since this is a different way of doing this, I'd like to make a toast to Hiawatha. If the city employees are here, I'd love to have them stand up. It's been a lot of years of cleanup and work, so thank you guys. City Council, thank you guys very much. All right, so cheers to the people that have drinks. So, thank you. Continue to stay here. This wraps up the state of the city for today. So, thank you.